Feeling overwhelmed by life's constant curveballs? What if you could face any challenge with calm and unshakable resolve? This isn't about pretending your problems don't exist. It's about unlocking a mindset that transforms the way you respond to them. Picture this. You're caught in traffic, late for an important meeting. Your heart is racing, your palms sweating, and your thoughts spiraling. Now imagine responding to that same situation with deep calm, a slight smile, and the unshakable knowledge that your peace is not dictated by outside circumstances. That's the power of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that's more relevant now than ever. In a world full of chaos, constant comparison, and non-stop distractions, Stoicism offers a simple yet profound truth. You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. This is the heart of mental fortitude. And in this video, we're going to explore exactly how you can build that fortitude using the powerful tools of Stoic wisdom. Not as a history lesson, but as a living, breathing guide to thriving in the modern world. At the core of Stoic philosophy are 4 virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. They're not just abstract ideals, they're practical tools. Wisdom teaches us to see things clearly and respond thoughtfully. Courage gives us the strength to face fear and adversity without retreat. Justice reminds us to act with fairness and integrity, even when no one is watching. And temperance helps us practice self-control and moderation, so we don't become slaves to our desires. When these virtues come together, they form the foundation of an unshakable mind. One that doesn't panic in crisis, doesn't crumble under pressure, and doesn't lose itself in chaos. But to truly embody these values, we have to start with perception, the Stoic superpower. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In other words, your interpretation of reality creates your emotional state. Events are neutral. Your mind gives them meaning. Think about that. When someone cuts you off in traffic, your anger doesn't come from the act. It comes from the story you tell yourself about it. How dare they? People are so disrespectful. They're making me late. But a Stoic sees it differently. They might think, perhaps that person is rushing to the hospital, or more often, they might not think anything at all. Because to the Stoic, it's just an event, not worth surrendering your peace over. This isn't about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming emotionally intelligent. Stoicism doesn't tell you not to feel. It teaches you how not to be ruled by your feelings. You acknowledge your anger, frustration, or fear. You observe it, and then you decide how to respond rather than react. That pause, that space between stimulus and response, that is where your power lies. And it's in that space that resilience is born. But how do we train that space? How do we make that calm response our default instead of the rare exception? One word: practice. Stoicism is not a philosophy of the couch. It's a philosophy of the battlefield. Life is the training ground, and every moment, every challenge, every irritation is an opportunity to train your mind. One powerful practice is the Stoic morning reflection. When you wake up, before the noise of the world creeps in, take a moment to mentally prepare yourself. Ask, what challenges might I face today? What people might frustrate me? What setbacks could arise? This is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds grim, but it's actually liberating. By mentally rehearsing difficulties, you reduce their emotional impact. If you expect adversity, you won't be shocked by it. You'll meet it like an old friend, calm, ready. Another key practice is journaling, not the Dear Diary kind, but a Stoic reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What can I do better tomorrow? This simple act builds self-awareness and reinforces the Stoic virtues. It creates a feedback loop that strengthens your character over time. Journaling is like sharpening your inner sword, the one that cuts through chaos. And then there's voluntary discomfort, deliberately choosing discomfort to train your mind. Take cold showers, skip a meal, sleep on the floor once in a while. Not to punish yourself, but to remind yourself that comfort is a luxury, not a necessity. When you choose discomfort, you become less afraid of it. You stop being a prisoner of comfort and become the master of your own will. As the Stoics say, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Voluntary hardship reduces that imaginary suffering. It reveals your true strength. Now let's talk about the most powerful Stoic concept of all, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, the slave-turned-philosopher, said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not." That's it. That's the entire blueprint for serenity. When you truly internalize this, your entire life changes. You stop wasting energy on things you can't control, other people's opinions, the economy, the weather, traffic, the past, the future. And you focus entirely on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your values. This is the ultimate shift from victim to victor. When you realize that your peace is your responsibility, no one can take it from you. You become anti-fragile, not just resilient, but stronger because of adversity. Setbacks become fuel, criticism becomes feedback, pain becomes a teacher, and you stop seeing life as something that happens to you and start seeing it as something that happens for you. Imagine going through a breakup, a job loss, or a health crisis, and instead of spiraling, you say, "This is tough, but I'll grow from it. I'll remain true to my principles. I'll endure with grace." That's real power. That's unshakable resolve. That's Stoicism in action. It doesn't mean you don't grieve, or feel pain, or experience doubt. It means you don't let those things define you. You don't become a prisoner of your emotions. You become the master of your mind. And that mastery ripples into every area of your life, your relationships, your work, your creativity, your health. You become a rock in the storm, grounded, calm, clear. People feel it. They trust it. They're drawn to it. Because in a world full of noise, silence is magnetic. In a world full of reaction, a thoughtful pause is revolutionary. And let's not forget the importance of purpose. The Stoics believed that we're here for a reason, not a cosmic one necessarily, but a human one. To contribute, to grow, to serve something greater than ourselves. When you live with purpose, you become less obsessed with pleasure and more focused on meaning. You stop asking, "What do I want right now?" and start asking, "What kind of person do I want to become?" That shift is everything. It's the difference between a life of consumption and a life of contribution, between distraction and direction, and it gives you an inner compass that keeps you steady, even when the world shakes. In today's world, mental fortitude is a superpower. We're bombarded with information, pulled in every direction, constantly exposed to fear, comparison, and pressure. But you have a choice. You can let the world shape you, or you can shape your mind to face the world. The Stoics weren't superheroes. They were flawed, emotional, human beings, just like you. But they trained their minds like warriors. They practiced every day. They stumbled, but they kept returning to their principles. And so can you. Start small. Read a passage from a Stoic text each morning. Reflect on it. Apply it. Carry it with you like armor. Notice your triggers. Pause before reacting. Ask, "Is this in my control?" If not, release it. If so, act with wisdom. Practice gratitude, even in difficulty. Serve others. Live with virtue. That's Stoicism, not perfection. Practice. So next time life throws a storm your way, and it will, remember this. You have a power that no one can take from you. The power to choose your attitude. The power to stand still while the world spins. The power to suffer with dignity, to love with depth, to speak with clarity, and to live with purpose. This is your inner citadel. Build it, strengthen it, return to it, and let the world do what it does, while you remain unmoved, unshaken, and unbreakable. Because the goal is not to avoid the storm. The goal is to become the kind of person who can walk through it, with eyes open, heart steady, and soul unafraid. That's what it means to unleash your inner power. That's what it means to live with mental fortitude. That's what it means to be truly free. You see, true Stoic strength is not built in comfort. It's forged in the fire of adversity. The Stoics didn't seek an easy life. They prepared for a resilient one. When Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, illness, and war, he didn't crumble. He turned inward and reminded himself, if it is endurable, then endure it. If it is not, then stop complaining. These were not just words, they were shields against despair. You can do the same. When life throws chaos at you, financial struggles, relationship heartbreak, mental burnout, you don't need to spiral into anxiety. You can take a breath, step back, and ask the core Stoic question: what part of this is truly under my control? You might not control the economy. You might not control what others say or do, but you do control how you respond. That small space between what happens to you and how you react, that's where your power lives. And in that space, you get to choose. Do you lash out, or do you remain composed? Do you dwell on misfortune, or do you focus on your next best action? That choice, made moment after moment, builds your inner fortress. With every disciplined response, you stack another stone in the wall of your mental fortitude. Now let's talk about anxiety, a modern plague. The Stoics didn't use the word anxiety, but they deeply understood the unease of anticipating things that haven't happened. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Read that again. How many times have you lost sleep over something that never even came to pass? How many times has the fear of what might happen been worse than the event itself? Stoicism teaches us to meet those thoughts with reason. Instead of spiraling, ask, is this actually happening now, or am I borrowing trouble from the future? Most of the time, we're tormenting ourselves with possibilities instead of facing actual problems. A Stoic doesn't ignore the future, they prepare for it. But they do so with clarity, not panic. They use a powerful tool called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They imagine worst-case scenarios, not to feel doomed, but to become familiar with adversity, to strip it of its fear. By contemplating loss, discomfort, or failure in advance, the Stoic is less shaken when it actually arrives. It's like mental weightlifting. The more you rehearse life's potential storms, the steadier you stand when they arrive. And in the middle of those storms, the Stoic finds stillness. Picture a lighthouse in a raging sea, winds howling, waves crashing, and yet that lighthouse stands unmoved. This is your aim, not to avoid life's chaos, but to remain centered through it. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion. The Stoics weren't robots. They felt joy, grief, anger, but they believed emotions should be acknowledged, not obeyed. You can feel rage and choose not to act on it. You can feel fear and still step forward. That is true freedom. Freedom from being a slave to impulse. Today, we're bombarded with distractions. Social media, news cycles, endless notifications, all pulling at our attention. But the Stoic knows that what you give attention to shapes your mind. If you constantly feed your brain with outrage and envy, your soul becomes turbulent. Instead, cultivate what Epictetus called right attention. Choose wisely what you allow into your mental space. Read nourishing books, engage in meaningful conversations, reflect on your values. Silence isn't just peaceful, it's productive. In moments of stillness, you find clarity. In simplicity, you find strength. Minimalism is often seen as a lifestyle trend, but to the Stoics, it was a necessity for inner freedom. The less you depend on external things, the less vulnerable you are to their loss. If your happiness hinges on wealth, recognition, or possessions, then your peace is fragile. But if you ground your well-being in character, wisdom, and discipline, then you are untouchable. You are, as the Stoics say, invincible, not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can control you. Let's bring this into your daily life. Start each morning with intention. Before the noise of the world invades, take 5 minutes and ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Visualize situations that might test your patience or courage. Prepare your mind in advance. Throughout the day, practice negative visualization. Look at your loved ones and imagine, just briefly, life without them. Not to become sad, but to become grateful. Gratitude rooted in awareness is deeper than any surface-level affirmation. And when you're tested, which you will be, return to your breath. It is your anchor. In a meeting that's going sideways, during an argument that's heating up, in a moment of fear, pause and breathe. Remember that you have a choice. You always have a choice. That reminder is the first step toward sovereignty over your emotions. As night falls, take time to reflect. Journaling, a practice Marcus Aurelius himself used, becomes your mirror. Ask, where did I act with virtue today? Where did I fall short? What will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about shame, it's about self-awareness. It's about tuning your life to the frequency of purpose. In a world that wants you to react, the Stoic trains you to respond. In a world that wants you to consume, the Stoic teaches you to create. Character, discipline, integrity. And this transformation doesn't require a monastery or a mountain. You don't need to escape society to live with Stoic wisdom. In fact, Stoicism was made for people like you, parents, workers, students, leaders. It's a philosophy for the battlefield of daily life. It's a way to carry peace into chaos, strength into struggle, calm into conflict. Think about this. What if you became the person others looked to when things went wrong? What if, instead of breaking under pressure, you became the one who steadied the ship? That's not just admirable, that's possible. With daily practice, you can train your mind to meet pressure with poise, pain with purpose, and uncertainty with unwavering focus. And maybe right now, you don't feel strong. Maybe you feel lost, overwhelmed, behind. That's okay. Stoicism doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for progress. Every time you catch yourself in a reactive spiral and choose to pause instead, you've already won. Every moment you choose discipline over distraction, growth over comfort, you take one step closer to your inner fortress. So here's the truth. Life isn't going to get easier, but you can get stronger. You can choose to be the kind of person who rises instead of folds, who reflects instead of reacts, who leads with values, not ego. That strength, that unshakable, unbreakable inner power is already inside you. Stoicism simply teaches you how to unlock it. And as you go forward, remember that this journey is not about becoming emotionless or indifferent. It's about becoming deeply grounded. So grounded that even when the winds of chaos howl, you are still. Even when the storms of life rage, you are present. And even when the world tries to shake you, you remain unwavering. This is your power, this is your path, and it begins not tomorrow, not when life is perfect, but now, in this moment, in this breath. Stand tall, speak less, listen deeply. Let your actions echo your values. Let your mind be trained like a warrior's, your soul anchored like a mountain. Let every setback become fuel. Let every day be a step closer to the version of yourself that cannot be rattled. You are not here to be controlled by your circumstances. You are here to rise above them. You are not here to be a leaf blown by the wind. You are the tree, rooted, strong, reaching for the sky with unshakable calm. That is the gift of Stoicism. That is the strength already within you. So unleash it, and as the days pass, your inner dialogue will become clearer. The world might not quiet down, but you will. Your reactions will slow. You'll begin to recognize the patterns. The moments when your emotions try to take the wheel, when fear whispers doubts, when pride urges you to defend your ego. And instead of falling into old habits, you'll pause, you'll breathe, you'll return to that quiet place within where Stoic clarity lives. It's there that you'll find your true north, not determined by trends or opinions, but by timeless principles you've made your own. And over time, that mental stillness becomes something others notice. You'll carry a different presence, not loud or flashy, but grounded and calm. People might not know why, but they'll feel it. You won't need to prove yourself, because your very being will communicate strength. A strength that's not about dominance or bravado, but about self-mastery. A strength that can only come from knowing yourself fully, your flaws, your impulses, your fears, and choosing to act with wisdom anyway. This is the legacy of the Stoic, not to conquer the world outside, but to conquer the turmoil within. And in doing so, to become someone the world quietly depends on. A steady mind in chaos, a kind word in anger, a reasoned voice in hysteria. You become the calm in someone else's storm. This doesn't happen all at once. It's forged slowly, in early mornings when you'd rather sleep, but you get up and reflect. In tense conversations when you hold your tongue and speak only what's useful. In the privacy of your own thoughts, where no one is watching but you, still choose integrity. These moments are the brushstrokes of your character. Day by day, they paint the portrait of who you truly are, not who you claim to be, but who you prove yourself to be. And yes, there will be times when you slip, times when you lose your center, times when the storm feels too big. But even that is part of the Stoic path. Failure isn't final unless you refuse to learn from it. A Stoic stumbles, but they do not stay down. They rise, reflect, recalibrate, because the goal isn't to never fall, it's to always get back up, a little wiser than before. The beauty of this philosophy is that it asks nothing from the world. It doesn't require the world to be fair or kind or predictable. It only requires you to be steadfast. In a world of shifting sands, Stoicism makes you the rock. And in becoming that rock, you realize that your peace, your strength, your power, none of it was ever out there. It was always inside, waiting for you to claim it. So now the invitation is simple. Begin. Not when life calms down. Not when you have more time. Not when you're less stressed. Begin now. Start by watching your thoughts. Catch the ones that lead to chaos. Challenge them. Replace them. Start by owning your responses. Stop blaming. Start choosing. Start by asking yourself each night, did I live today with virtue? Did I embody courage, temperance, justice, wisdom? If the answer is no, good. Now you know, try again tomorrow. Because this is a path that never ends. You don't become a Stoic master overnight. There's no mountaintop where you declare yourself complete. The work is the reward. The progress itself is the transformation. And every day you walk this path, you get closer to the person you were always meant to become. Not someone flawless, but someone free. Free from needing approval. Free from being triggered by every insult. Free from being pulled in 100 directions. Free from the constant comparison, the noise, the pressure to be anything other than deeply, authentically yourself. That kind of freedom, that quiet, powerful presence, is rare in this world. And because it's rare, it's magnetic. When you become that person, not only do you elevate yourself, you elevate others. Your calm helps others calm down. Your discipline inspires others to take control. Your presence becomes a silent reminder that it's possible to live differently. And that's how this philosophy spreads, not by force, but by example. The world needs that example now more than ever. We're living in a time of noise, distraction, and division. A time when fear spreads faster than truth, when reaction outpaces reflection. But you, yes, you, have the chance to be different. To lead not by volume, but by virtue. To become a beacon of inner strength when the world feels lost. So let the world do what it will. Let others chase status, argue endlessly, cling to what's fleeting. You have chosen a different path, a higher path, a path where your worth is not tied to outcomes, but to effort. Not to possessions, but to principles. Not to appearance, but to action. And in walking this path, you are not just surviving, you are becoming. This is what it means to unleash your inner power. Not a loud, boastful force, but a quiet, steady flame. One that doesn't flicker in the wind, but grows brighter through it. One that day by day turns you into a person no storm can shake. So take this moment, not just as inspiration, but as initiation. Let today be the day you stop waiting for strength and start building it. Let it be the day you stop seeking peace outside and start creating it within. Let it be the day you stop asking, what if, and start declaring, I will. Because this is your life, this is your story. And from this moment forward, you write it with the pen of reason, the ink of courage, and the page of virtue. Write well, live strong, and let the world feel the quiet force of someone who has finally remembered who they truly are.